What if I told you that your power in negotiations isn't defined by your title, resources, or size? Research shows that power is mainly about perception, specifically which party feels they have more at stake if no agreement is reached. I'm Jadavinder Singh Rana, professor of cross-cultural negotiation, researching how AI helps negotiators achieve better outcomes. Let me explain why understanding your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, and your leverage is the true foundation of negotiation power. BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, represents your most promising option if you walk away from the current negotiation. It establishes your reservation value and provides leverage by defining when no deal becomes better than accepting unfavorable terms. But here is what most negotiators miss. While many focus solely on their own BATNA, those who analyze their counterparts' BATNA often achieve superior outcomes. Leverage, the second foundation of negotiation power, comes in three distinct forms, each offering unique advantages. Positive leverage, based on your ability to provide what the other party needs. Negative leverage, your ability to make the other party worse off if no deal is reached. Normative leverage, using standards and norms to strengthen your position. For deeper insights, try asking your counterpart, what would it take for you to say yes? This simple question can reveal hidden leverage points. Remember, leverage is dynamic, contextual, and based on perceptions rather than facts. It shifts constantly as conditions change and as parties reassess their positions. This week's analysis examines a negotiation scenario based on a Harvard Business School role-play. We'll demonstrate how to use ChatGPT 4.5 strategically by providing it with only the seller's perspective, then analyzing how it identifies the seller's BATNA and leverage points, creates several negotiation scenarios by considering potential buyer alternatives, and maps potential buyers' leverage points across all three dimensions. Let's experiment ChatGPT 4.5 together because it has just been released for Plus subscribers. Here is the prompt. Hi Brahma, you are tasked with analyzing a seller's negotiation position and creating hypothetical buyer scenarios. Follow these steps carefully. First, review the attached seller's role-play instructions. Second, analyze the seller's BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Inside point number 2, there are sub-points. The first one is carefully examine the seller's instructions. Identify any explicit alternatives mentioned. Infer potential alternatives based on the seller's position. Consider the consequences of not reaching an agreement. Third, identify the seller's leverage points. List potential items or concessions the buyer might want. Determine what the seller could potentially withdraw or withhold. Consider unique advantages or strengths in the seller's position. Fourth, standards and norms. Identify any industry standards, market norms, or common practices mentioned. Consider how this could be used to persuade the buyer. And then, create 3 hypothetical buyer scenarios. For each scenario, hypothesize a plausible BATNA for the buyer. Suggest potential leverage points the buyer might have. Ensure each scenario is distinct and realistic given the context. And the last point, present your analysis in the following format. Analysis, seller's BATNA, detailed analysis of the seller's BATNA, seller's leverage points, the standard and norms, and the buyer scenario, scenario number 1 with the BATNA and the leverage points, scenario number 2, BATNA and leverage points, and the same for scenario number 3. And ensure your analysis is thorough, well-reasoned, and directly based on the information provided in the seller's instructions. If you need to make any assumptions, please state them clearly. As you can see, this prompt is more complex than the one we used last week to understand the seller's and the buyer's interests. Let's see the response by ChatGPT 4.5. Seller's BATNA. The tailor's BATNA is clear and explicit. They have a standing offer from the private buyer of the main property for $17,000. While this amount is lower than the original purchase price of $20,000, accepting this offer ensures the land does not remain an unnecessary burden after their relocation. The consequence of not reaching an agreement with the Riveras will simply be to accept this lesser offer. Thus, the BATNA is firm and relatively risk-free. Now, which are The seller's leverage points. First of all, the exclusivity of location, because it uniquely borders Rivera's property. Future development potential, and it can also be a buffer zone, and also is an immediate and straightforward cash deal that can serve the Riveras from future uncertainty or possible negotiations with other buyers. Standard norms, real estate market trends, local zoning regulations, historical cost and maintenance. Now, ChatGPT also provides us with 3 scenarios. The first one is buyer's button. The Riveras decide not to purchase a parcel, preferring to maintain their current property configuration and save money, so it's just a status quo. Leverage points, minimal interest in expanding property or privacy, the ability to use existing land sufficiently, and no immediate incentive to invest in additional land. So the scenario number 1 is the Riveras don't need a piece of land. Scenario number 2, the Riveras have identified another nearby property parcel that, although slightly less convenient located, meets similar needs and is priced competitively. Leverage points, availability of alternative property, lower price comparison, and the flexibility to choose based on cost effectiveness and convenience. Third, the Riveras are considering major renovations to their property, which would greatly benefit from additional space, thus lacking alternative nearby parcels. Leverage points, desire for immediate land acquisition to facilitate property improvement, increase property value due to potential upgrades, urgency to finalize purchase quickly. As you can see, we have 3 different scenarios. In the first one, the Riveras don't need the piece of land. In the second one, they would like the piece of land, but they have also an alternative. In the third one, they have already thought about that piece of land for expanding and renovating their property. Take 20 minutes to apply these concepts to your next negotiation. Identify all alternative options in an important upcoming negotiation. Estimate the value of each alternative. Select your best alternative as your BATNA. Identify 3 ways to improve your BATNA. Map out the potential leverage points, positive, negative, and normative. Evaluate the other party's BATNA by developing multiple scenarios. Ask yourself, what does the other party have to lose if we don't reach a deal? Remember, power comes from what you can do without an agreement, while leverage relates to who believes they have more to lose. Next week, we will explore the zone of possible agreement, ZOPA, how to identify where deals are possible and how to expand that zone to create better outcomes. Thank you for watching. If you are ready to explore AI-enhanced negotiations, subscribe to our YouTube channel and newsletter at negoai.ai.